Hi everybody, it's Kelly Holland, owner at Divinity Designs, and today we're back again for a Scrapbook Expo at-home event. We're so happy that Scrapbook Expo is holding these events. It's been so much fun and we just had so much enjoy showing you all our products. Today's going to be all about backgrounds. We're going to show you our background dies, our background embossing folders, and stencils. Different ways to use backgrounds on your cards. We're going to start off with Lisa Somerville showing you some of our background dies.
Hi everyone, it's Lisa Somerville. I'm here to share with you some cards created with Divinity Designs background dies. Our background dies measure 5 1/4 by 4 and fit on your A2 cards. On my cards, I've also used either the A2 landscape card base with layer or the A2 portrait card base with layer. Here's a base card, and here's one of the die cut layers. To add a pop of color between the layer and the base card, I like to use the matting rectangle. You can see how that adds just a pop of color behind the layering panel. These are just a few of the background dies that I've used on my cards. We have the floral background, scallop chain, and lattice background. You'll die cut and emboss your dies following the directions for your die cutting machine. Be sure to emboss your dies as that brings out the detail of the dies. To emboss your dies, you'll want to use a rubber mat. You can always tell when one of our dies need to be embossed, as that's indicated by the 2 shades of purple that you see printed on the packaging. If you don't emboss, your die cut panels are going to be flat. When you emboss your die cuts, the embossed areas are raised, and they add more detail to your cards. Here's the scallop chain and the lattice. 3 of my cards use our Great Faith Stamp Die Duo set. Our Stamp Die Duos contain stamps and also the dies so that you can easily die cut the images from the set. You simply stamp or emboss your image on pattern paper or cardstock. Center the die over the stamped image. Add removable tape to hold that die in place, and then die cut following the directions for your die cutting machine. The next 2 cards, I placed the background die behind one of the frames from our pierced frames die set. On this card, I used the floral background die to create a shaker card. On this next card, using the scallop chain background behind our pierced frames die set, I also used the With Sympathy Stamp Die Duos set. This is a clear stamp set, and it also has the Sympathy as your die. Now I'm going to show you just how easy it is to create a card using our background dies. I've gone ahead and die cut and embossed all the pieces I'm going to need to create my card. I have the lattice background. The watercolor paper was die cut using the layer die from the A2 portrait card base with layer, my matting rectangle panel for a pop of color, and the A2 portrait card base. The sentiment was stamped on white cardstock, then die cut and embossed using one of our oval dies, then layered onto a panel using the Vintage Labels 2 die set. The flowers from the Great Faith Stamp Die Duo set were stamped on the watercolor paper and then die cut. The butterflies are from the Butterfly Trio die set. Adhere the layering panel to the matting rectangle panel and then to your card base. Then adhere the background die cut panel. Now you're all set to embellish your card. Kelly Holland will be sharing more inspiration with you using our background dies.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for that wonderful tutorial. I have two additional ideas to use the background dies. Here we show it on our tri-fold card, and it's used on top of the panel as a little see-through. You could also cut them down and use them on our center step card and just add a border around it. I have some additional samples where Lisa showed the floral background. This is a card Lisa made. It's also one of our stair step cards. Here's a shaker card using mirror card. Ooh, that's glossy. Here's another one using metallic, another shaker card. We have an additional tutorial on our YouTube channel that you can watch using the floral background. Here it is using the mirror sparkle paper from the paper cut. Here's one with the frame on top using our watercolor paper. That one's so pretty. Here's one where they use glossy accents on top. This is beautiful with the pop of black to really make it really pop. Another one with our watercolor paper. Here's a simple one with just gold metallic paper and gold embossing. That's just gorgeous. And a nice sunny one with the fur with the happy birthday. And here she cut it out, the die also out in red and added that, so you have a little bit two-color combo there. And that's the floral background die. Our next die is the Flourish Star Pattern die. This is a background die, but it also contains a background layering and 3 coordinating dies. And I'll show you some samples. This is the background die, and you can see once you add the layers and you pop them up, it creates a lot of dimension. And those are the dies from the Flourish Star Pattern set. We also have 2 coordinating dies called Splendorous Stars and Shining Stars. And let me show you 2 samples using all of those together. These are very dimensional. You could see all the layers on those. Most people wouldn't do that, but just to show you how you can mix and match the different sets to create one-of-a-kind cards. Next we have our Stitched Sunburst die, and Lisa has made a wonderful tutorial on our YouTube channel, so be sure to look for that. This die, you could see by the lighter purple areas, embosses. So if you when you emboss the die, it'll raise those areas and give you more detail. Let me show you on this card. You can see how those sections have more dimension. It's a shaker card also. There's little pieces inside. Here's a similar one, but it's using different pieces of scrapbook paper from one of our paper pads. Another shaker card. Here's another one using different kinds of paper from one of our paper pads. This one just shows cardstock, but you can really see the embossing on that card. And here's 2 cards that were used using the stencil feature. This card, the individual pieces were stenciled. And this one, it was stenciled and the outer frame was removed. My next die is called Chevron Background. And it actually is quite a large pattern. It looks different on the cover, but you can use it either way. And let me show you some samples. Here's one here using different papers from our Sweethearts paper pad and a shaker feature in the center. Here's one for a baby card, a girl card, or a boy card. Another boy card. You could also just use solid colors just to create an interesting background. Also, you could just use portions of it. Instead of using the entire background, you can use portions of the die to create an interesting effect on your card. Another way to use the background die is to die cut it first using the background die, and then die cut it a second time using an outline die, such as our timeless tote die. Then you could create a different front for the front of your tote. Here's another idea using our quilted background. First you die cut the background die, and then die cut a second time using the front from the timeless tote. This is the quilted background, and here's a card showing the quilted background. Look for additional samples on our website on the product page. Our next die is called the chicken wire background. You'll need to emboss this die as well to bring out the detail of the twisty chicken wire there. As you can see on this card, it really raises that, and you can see it much better. Especially on the metallic, it really comes out. Look, in here we have it with one of our farm cards. This is called a Z-fold. And there it is on the background. For additional samples on our website. This die is called the quilted honeycomb die. And let me show you some samples. This one was made using a shaker in the middle and different pieces of paper for the background. This frame was cut out and also layered with another background paper. Here it is with our coordinating stamp set. Different paper here. And on this one, Lisa used one solid piece for all the background and the frame. You can also use the die for stenciling or any die, background die. See how this just part of the honeycomb pattern was used for stenciling. This beautiful die is called Floral Corners, and as you can see, it really looks beautiful on a card. This card is also using our Twist and Pop card die. You can see the corners were added on the bottom and on the top, along with our quatrefoil embossing folder. The snowflake sky background die is quite beautiful on Christmas cards, and here's some samples from our website. And here we are with one of our newest background dies. This one is used with our Slimline Dies collection, and it is called the Flower Petal Background. Used with cardstock. Here it is on the mirror sparkle paper. Metallic paper. That one's popped up for dimension. Here it is on top of metallic paper. And then used for portrait. Another die that can be used as a background is our Slimline Pierced window frame, which gives you 3 windows and an area on the bottom to add verses or additional die cuts. This one's a shaker. You can use the windows for shaker to put sequins or anything you want in there. can add any kind of background paper in your windows. Here's a beautiful baby card using our slimline cloud dies. Here's a portrait card using the fairy set. Add some pennants to the elephant. You could create such a variety of cards using this die. Here's a nice Christmas card, popped up to add even more dimension. Farm animals with the farm fence. Patriotic. Just stamps with paper. Another shake your card with our little monster set. Another patriotic. In here we have it with our landscapes paper pad. Here is another die that you can use as a background on your card. This is brand new and it's called the Floating Frame Front. Lisa has made a video that is on our YouTube channel with a tutorial on how to use it. You can use it as a window, or you can make shaker cards with it. First, I'll show you the shaker cards. These cards are using products from our new July Blessings box. There's the sequins in there. These are the birthday balloons. And to use it as a window, this one uses the stoneware paper pad and the birthday blooms stamped die duo. This one uses our large number set. Another great product to use for backgrounds of your cards are embossing folders. And we sell embossing folders, and here are a couple. This is our flourishes, which is sold with just the embossing folder. And we also sell a couple different embossing folder die duos. Here's the quatrefoil embossing folder with a coordinating die. Here's some of the patterns. Cross stitch, flourishes, the cross background. That one also comes with the coordinating cross dies. This is the fish and the quatrefoil. Here we have the quatrefoil embossing folder along with the coordinating quatrefoil die. The quatrefoil die has a layering die and a design die. Here it is on metallic paper, and that really shows up really great on that kind of paper. Here it's just used with paper, designer paper from one of our paper pads, as a subtle background. Same with this one. And that one. Here's a card using it on 2 different layers. And this is also our twist and pop card. And here we have this card using the negative pieces put back into the card for just a different look. You can see the difference. Here's some cards showing the cross stitch embossing folder, just as texture on the back of a card. The reverse pattern was used. Same as that one. Here we have the fish embossing folder and the flourishes embossing folder. Another great background is using stencils. We carry a wide variety of stencils on our website, and I'll run through them really quick for you. Stencils can be used a variety of different ways. You could sponge through them with inks. You could dry emboss them like you would an embossing folder. And I have some great card samples to show you. You can use paste. There's this one. This one's the most popular, is our flower. And hills. And our rose. The rose is really popular. So here are some cards using the rose stencil with various techniques. Stenciling. This one was dry embossed and then also stenciled. That one's really pretty. This one's very subtle on the background. And it coordinates with our My World stamp set. Here's one that's really colorful, stenciled in a couple different colors. And here we have the flower background, flower burst background stencil. Here's another one with our half shutter card. This is another half shutter. You can see it used dry embossed and also stenciled. This one's really nice, the hills with the coffee card. Dry embossed and then stenciled. And finally, one Lisa made using the bubbles in different colors to match the colors that she used with the birthday shakers. Here's another one, dry embossed, using the belly band die and our brand new accordion fold card and our birthday shakers. This one was used for a background inside our pierced frames. You can even use it for just a thin strip. It's our new raspberry stamp set. There's different kinds of paste that you can use with stencils. This one is real glittery. Another one. Here's one with our half shutter.
As Kelly mentioned, there are many different techniques you can use with our stencils. You can dry emboss your stencils using a silicone mat, After dry embossing, you can leave the stencil in place and add ink over the stencil. After dry embossing, I added tape to the back side of the card to hold the stencil in place. Flip that over and then apply ink over the stencil. And then remove the stencil from the cardstock. You can also do reverse stenciling. You'll start out by adding ink to a piece of cardstock, flip the cardstock over, use tape to hold the stencil in place, flip that over. Next, we're going to use an ink blending tool and black ink to apply ink over the stencil. Continue adding the black ink until you've covered the entire stencil. And then remove the stencil from the cardstock. And that's reversed stenciling.
So another thing I wanted to go over that we talked about in a lot of our videos is going to our YouTube channel. You could just go to YouTube, do a search for Divinity Designs, you'll find us, Divinity Designs. You would click on videos, and then these are all the different videos, and you'll enjoy watching those. They give you a lot of great information, show you how to use things, tutorials. So that's always fun. So next thing is if you go to our website, there'll be a little box that'll pop up that if you want to join our email list, you could do that. Another thing we have is a rewards program called My Rewards, and you rack up points by different orders. So you get 1 point for every dollar you spend, and then once you're ready to cash them in, you would get codes. You could get $5 off, $10 off, 15, 20, depending on how many points you have. And then they'll email you a code, and then you use that code in the checkout, and then it'll take your reward right off. Another thing is we have a chat area down here, and we're not there right now, but you could leave a message. So you fill in all your information, leave a message. If we are there, it'll say chat now, and we would chat with you right live on live chat. Another thing is we give away free product every month depending on what you're purchasing. So for that, you go to the shopping cart, and they're called the incentive gifts. And view cart, and you'll see on these banners on top, sometimes they're different colors, but there's always a link. So this month our incentive gifts are the bitty border dies and the pine branches dies. So if you spend $75, you get the bitty borders. If you spend $125, you not only get the bitty borders, but you also get the pine branches. So you'll need to click on the link and add them to your cart. They don't add automatically, because let's say you don't want that or you already have it, and then you want to view or edit your cart, and you'll see down here it says 0, so you did receive those for free, and then you check out as usual. So just some fun things to show you on the website, and like I said, every month we switch them out to different products, and I hope you visit us then on the website.